Hey Trey, how are you doing today?
Hey brother, how are you? I'm excited to be here connecting with you, man.
I know I'm grateful you're my friend. I don't tell you that enough. I do want to tell you that right now. I'm grateful we get to do stuff like this together, and I'm grateful the years you poured into my kids leading worship at our church. Just lots of things. So thank you for being a friend. First of all,
Yeah, man. Yeah, I was actually telling you before we got on the call cuz I'm a reader. I love to read, and this year my word of the year was friendship.
yeah.
And so one of my final books that I'm reading is called The Business of Friendships. And it's the idea of how do you maintain friendships in the place you spend the most time, which is work. And so I honestly believe, even though sometimes it feels weird to say, I love working with my friends.
Yeah.
And so, all that said, yeah, man, I'm grateful for you as well, man.
Hey, before we dive into our topic, leading with gratitude, you just said something that just unearthed something in me because I have a new friend. I'm not going to name names right now, but I have a new friend and he's looking at our business and he's never done business with his friends. He's not American, he's international. And his comment to me was, "I love what you do. I'm excited." But he said, "I was really excited about us being friends and I've never done business with my friends before. I've always
Mm,
separated and delineated and put a line in the sand. These are my friends and I have this kind of relationship over here with my friends, and then I do transactions over here with my business people." And I'm like, that's really weird because I don't think I've ever done business and not felt like the people I was doing business with were my friends, you know. And so
sure.
I'm really anxious to read that book that you recommended. I know you're not finished with it yet, but it's highly comes highly recommended from you. I'm going to read it, and I've just stuck a book in the mail to you today. So sharing books is something we can be grateful for too.
No doubt. That's
All
for
right, so
sure.
let's talk about leading with gratitude. I think there's so many places we can go, but we decided today a little bit that might just flip the scales a little bit and let me ask you some questions because you're kind of a little bit of my source of wisdom about executing things in business that are important. Um, how do you communicate well? How do you brand yourself? How do you put together a campaign and drive it to success? Whatever it might be, using images, graphics, media, or whatever. So, as we think about Trey leading with gratitude, because our podcast is called Make a Life. I mean, life, it's what you make it, not life, it's what happens. So, how do we be, in your mind, what do we need to do to be intentional about gratitude instead of just letting it happen? Because I think the world just says thank you out of reaction, but how do we put meaning and intention into gratitude?
Yeah, that's good. So one of the things that I continue to come back to. So for those of you who don't know, I own a marketing and branding company. I've been around for about 4 years, but I've been in the industry for about 15. And one of the things that I think that many business leaders think about is how do I get more people in my pipeline? We talk about it all the time.
Yep.
How do I network? How do I get more people? And the 2010s introduced, and early 20s or aughts is what I think they're called. Um, Introduced this idea of like being able to use paid advertising, like social media advertising and things like that, in ways that, truthfully, um, it it almost feels like passive. It's like, oh man, I just want to just be passive about it. And so, and then if I just pay and they will come, it's kind of like, I don't, is that Field of Dreams, where that's, if you build it, they will come. Is
Yeah,
that where
build it
that's
and they
from?
will come. Yep, that's it. Field of
Yeah.
dreams.
And something that I think is that in all of that, and now with AI and all sorts of different things that are happening, I believe that right now what we're experiencing is a retraction of some of that belief when it comes to marketing. And this is going to get somewhere, and I promise you,
Keep
because
going.
here is my thing: people want to buy from people. That has always been true, and it always will be true. They want to buy from people that they build relationships with.
That they trust, is that a good word?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that over the past, I'd say past 5 years, I think there has been this moment of where we've kind of tapped out on the like spray and pray type of approaches. Now, there it's still helpful, but man, it is so powerful, and you can create much more long-lasting customers if you actually get to think about the deep relationship that you build with them from the very beginning all the way through the process. And so right now that's one of the things that I've really been thinking about, and it's something that for me as a business we've really prioritized is, while I know that you might really want that social media campaign that's on autopilot and it just makes money. The reality is from what we discover with some of those brands is actually they don't necessarily make money from there. They make money from what is tried and true, developed relationships.
Yeah, you know, Trey, I mean, it's funny. The people listening to us don't know the conversations we've had behind the scenes that have just brought all this to the forefront of our minds. But, you were saying some things that obviously we've talked about. It's like, how do all these cute girls or, Gen Z people, how do they get on there and show their workout, show their makeup, show their outfit, you know, show a before and after picture? And they at least make you think they're making zillions of dollars selling a widget. Now, I mean, I do know some in our business that in Europe, they get on TikTok and dance and fiddle and do their thing, and they're, selling, getting a couple hundred customers a month. But I'm grateful that I can be real and be authentic, because do you not think that, um, I mean, you said we're kind of been going retro with some of this people buying from people, but don't you think that when it's fake, whether it's AI generated or it's like photoshopped or whatever, whatever they're using to create the fake, don't you think people see through that now, and they're looking for authentic?
Yeah, I think that a lot I've talked about how our inbound type of marketing, right, our social media presence and everything like that is kind of clogged because people are just kind of tired of this form of communication and they aren't sure if they can really trust it, right? And so absolutely. I think that people, it's not that they really even see through it, is that they just want something different. They
Mhm.
they want something different. You talked about the TikTok influencer. Did you know that 50% of creators on TikTok fall into something called a nano influencer, which is like 1,000 to 5,000 followers,
Okay.
right? See, think about all the creators that are on TikTok.
Yep.
It's still a super competitive space, right? So you have to become a true influencer is very difficult through social, where all of your like content comes from this content that you're creating. If you ask any business owner that is in a small business, and I'm talking about like Main Street America, they will still tell you, where do their customers come from?
Word of mouth.
Word of mouth. Exactly. Word of mouth. Almost all of them, which means in order for word of mouth to happen, you have to do two things. One, you have to be in relationship with people you don't know. You can't hide. You got to get out there. You've got to be in networking places. You got to be out there. But the other thing is this, and this is where I think we should focus today, just because of our theme of the month, is you got to be good to the people who are already trusting you.
That's a good word. Be good to the people who are already trusting you. I really like that. You need to. That's a good quote.
Yeah, I just think that there's something missing in a transactional environment of the world that we live in, and it's this idea that we talk about just as Southerners is good people.
Hmm.
We as Southerners, we might say like, "Oh, hey, they're good people." Kurt, what does it mean when we say that in the South? Oh, they're good people.
I think it means they're kind. It means they're like they're willing to talk to you. They're open.
Yeah, they're not only that, but I feel like they resonate with my values.
That's good. Yep.
We have a natural connection. They're true to their word,
Yeah.
right? There's a character component to being good people. And I believe that we've lost that way sometimes in the process of business now because it's so transactional. It's all about the next thing.
But but
It's all
but,
about growing bigger.
but with you being, let's just say, in the industry, so to speak, of because you're working not just with me and understand what I do, but you've got a lot of clients and you're working
Mhm.
with them and with me to do what you just said. I mean, if you, I know when you believe in something, you push that down to your clients and say this is because this is something we should do. So be good to the people that already trust you. But how do we do that? You said it, but we live in a transactional world where you and I know it's the best thing for business, actually, if you read the stats. But you and I, as believers, as biblically minded, God fearing people, we want to live in a relational world, not a transactional world. So, with what you're seeing in trends and marketing, and maybe teaching a few of our listeners how to be intentional about gratitude,
Yep.
how do we live out that um, goal of being relational in a transactional world?
There you go. So so I'm going to recommend a book because that's what I always do.
Yep.
If I actually bought like 15 of these books
Okay.
because I'm now using it as my onboarding system for our customers
Did you buy me one?
because uh, I'll send you one if you
Just
want
kidding.
it.
Just kidding.
I'll send you one.
No.
Uh, but the book is called Super Fans
Okay.
by Brittany Hodak. Okay, and you can go and listen to her, and she's was in the entertainment industry and all that. But this book is amazing because it gets back to this idea of building relationships with your customers. She has this framework that is super. How do you create super fans? The first two I think are just does and don't necessarily answer your question, but the last three absolutely do. uh, the first one is start with your story. That in order for you to really connect in a relational way, you have to start with your story. This is something you talk about all the time. The biggest selling proposition that you can have is how your story connects to what you're inviting people into to be transformed by. Look, if you are not like, what is the phrase like, uh, uh, oh man, eating your own food, like eating your own food that you made. What is the phrase that I'm thinking of? Anyways, if you're
Original
not
recipe?
yeah, if you are not actually partaking in the thing in which you are selling to people, you
You're a
don't have
hypocrite.
that
You're a hypocrite.
belief.
You're a
Yeah,
hypocrite. Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Your story being connected to what you do is essential, right? And I think crafting your story is really important. Second one is understanding your customer story. So S, start with your story. You understand your customer story, which again, you need to understand it. And a lot of times that's through the idea of empathy, right? But it's these three things that answer the question. The last three parts of super: personalize, exceed expectations, and repeat. And what I have found is personalization is one of the keys that people are missing, particularly in the ways that we express gratitude.
Well, what do you mean by
Everyone,
what do you mean by personalization?
yeah, tailored experiences to an individual. It's noticing and remembering the important details that would happen. So I'll give you a quick example. Something that we've started doing is in our process when we're like designing a new brand for somebody. Most recently, we designed a brand for an event company. And while we were designing this brand, we provided pieces of swag, like different things that their logo and the extension of their logo would be on. And one of those things people loved, absolutely loved, right? So what we did is after the process was over and a month after we were finished, we decided it was a bag. It was just a zipper, like big bottomless pit black bag.
Hmm.
We took that design and we put it on it and we sent it to their office. We just sent them 20 of them. It was a complete surprise. And in that, it was just a note that just said, be great, because that was what was said on the side of it.
Hmm.
And thank you for letting us be great for you. that type of personalization, knowing that they loved that bag or that concept of that bag in that particular design is going to go a long way, right? But remembering even the smallest things. How many times are you in a conversation and someone tells you about a meeting that's coming up that they're a little worried about, or a birthday of their kid that might be happening soon. These little tiny things, and then taking it one step further than maybe just a text, even though that's great. Maybe it's an audio text. Hey, tell me about how that went. Or maybe it's actually a birthday card that you send them that is for their nephew, right? And just saying from the Beavers family, right? I don't know. But personalization by connecting to people's story, I think that is one of the biggest ways to to really think about gratitude. I have other stories, but what anything from there that makes you think?
Um, I love that. I mean, I think what makes what I think of when you say that is why don't we do that more often? And what I think of is all these things that are authentic and real and give off real gratitude, not thank you, appreciate it, I'll pray for you, that kind of just comment. They take time and they take a piece of you. So I think we have to determine that this is important first, because in order to do it right, you can't do it fast.
Mm,
I mean, maybe there's an efficient way to do it, but I mean, you might think, sometimes it's more than just a text. It's a little thing like that bag you talked about. You're great. Thanks for letting you be great for us. I mean, you and we made some of those sample bags. Those were not expensive, really. Um, but I like what you're saying. But sometimes you have to get out of the rat race for a minute in order for people to feel you're being authentically grateful versus just responding in a way that you think you should respond. Like, I mean, I know I go into Chick-fil-A and I can tell the ones when they say my pleasure, they mean it. And I can tell the ones that are robotically saying my pleasure because they have to.
that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just speaking to that is I think that yes, it means that we have to slow down, right? And it also means that we have to record something, right? We have to jot down these things that we hear and kind of hold them off into a place to when we're ready for them in order to truly be able to personalize it. We have to have our ears on and listening, which guess what? Paid social media ads can't do that. They just can't. They're not going to be able to be personalized like that. Also, I think that we can undervalue the simple text. And we have great tools, which I know one day we're going to do just a whole thing on the
Tools.
technology we
Yeah.
use. But here's the thing, utilizing send later on your iPhone
I do that all the time.
all the time. Super simple. And you can send later, not just a, hey, how did it go? Right? Message, but you could be a little bit more robust with that. But using the send later feature allows you to pre-imagine when is it going to make most sense for this person to get this message, right?
Yeah.
I do the same thing with my email. Almost all the email inboxes now have a send later feature. What does it look like when we hear and have an ear in on a Zoom call that somebody is going to be going through something, or maybe that there's something that they shared, that we could easily just be able to be like, hey, let's write a quick note after this call. And it doesn't take much. It could be 2 sentences. In fact, I think if you go too long, it does feel too salesy,
Yeah.
right?
So
I think that that's really powerful.
this is a question I've been meaning to ask you, but the send later feature, how does that work? Because you and I are really focusing this month on maybe trying to send an audio message so that people can hear your passion, your voice, your emotions. For some reason, the other day, Trey, because I've been doing lots of those every day, and some of them, I try to be sensitive to the time zone that person's in, and use the send later feature wisely. But did I miss something, or is the send later feature only work with text messages and you can't use it with an audio message? Do you know?
Yeah. So that's a great question. Um, you as of right now, I think Apple doesn't allow you to do that.
Okay.
However, I believe and I don't quote me, I've not tried this,
Okay.
but I think that you can actually record a voice memo
Okay.
and then attach that and then send that later.
Gotcha. Okay.
It's because how Apple has it engineered, you can't choose send later and an audio text at the same time.
You're like two
Um,
features. Yeah, I got you. Yeah.
exactly, right? Because I think you can preset texting an image too.
Yeah.
So you should be able to preset a file. But yeah,
But
no,
but I
that's
did
a good
learn a
question.
trick because I love the send later feature. So like if I want to send you an audio message when I get up at 4 in the morning, hopefully you've got your do not disturb turned on, but I don't want to send it to you at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Sure.
And so what I've done is I've recorded it and let it sit there. Then I say, remind me to send Trey his text message at 7 o'clock, and I'll go back and hit send. I mean, that's
Yeah.
an awkward way to do it, but at least it works. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Another thing about this though that I want to point out is around gratitude here is what are you thanking them for? Because I think oftentimes what we're thanking them for is thank you for being our customer.
Yeah.
Okay, womp womp. That's a sales kind of thing. This is another moment of personalization.
Yes.
How do you thank them for something that is actually more relational? Right? That's a really essential step for us, right? So for example, we just finished a whole website for a ministry out in Minneapolis that equips public education teachers with the ability to share their faith in schools,
Okay.
like helping them understand their rights and all
Yep.
this sort of thing. I could send a thank you note to that customer and say, thank you so much for your business. But I can do a whole nother thing of saying, thank you so much for what I learned about how I could share my faith with my educator friends.
Mm-hmm.
This is a whole nother way of thanking them because what you're seeing is the thank you is how their mission impacts your
Yep.
your own personal
Yeah.
transformation, right? And that's a good example of personalization too. Really
So,
simple.
so the book I just sent you, Trey, that I was telling you about this morning, the book Stand Firm and Act Like a Man by Joby Martin.
Mm-hmm.
I learned something about what you just said from that book, and it's whether it's parenting, being a good spouse in your marriage, or in business, we're programmed to thank people for what they do. Meaning, we're programmed to thank them for the results they produce or the transaction that they paid you for as their client. And even with our kids, great job on your homework. I'm glad you got an A. Way to hit that ball. And we're not programmed, or we don't take time to thank them and praise them for who they are instead of what they do.
Oh yeah, let's go. That's right. What do
And
they stand for?
yeah,
Right?
yeah. And so so often, I mean, people are in a rat race. They're under stress. They're striving, trying to measure. They so long for that gratitude from their dad, from their spouse. So they try to perform to get it because every time they've gotten it in the past, they had accomplished or achieved or done something that pleased that parent or that spouse. And try this. And I'm trying to do this so hard. It's kind of like what Trey said. He thanked them for how they impacted him instead of thanking them for the task or being his client. And if we can really think about, I want to express gratitude in the relationships in my life for who they are, not for what they do for me. It's big difference to me. Big difference.
Wow, no, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we probably need to kind of. I would love to talk about this for a long time, but why don't we, as the year winds down, and our topic here is leading with gratitude, maybe we could give them 2 or 3 or 4 things that are not just things we're talking about. What are some things they could try? I know we've talked about several times this month about using that audio text message, just to sit down. And we even did it on our podcast. We did on our power hour, we spent an hour sending out gratitude messages to people. So maybe you need to put that on your calendar and just take an hour today, tomorrow. And what's that timer? The Pompadero? What's that thing called?
Pomodoro.
Pomodoro, where you just isolate a certain amount of time for a task. So do use your watch, your phone. If you don't have one of those, I've seen those tomato shaped timers that I've been in the past. and give yourself a gratitude hour. How many people could you express gratitude for who they are in the next hour? What's another thing they could do so we could leave them with some practical things, Trey?
Yep. First and foremost, that I always tell people, a handwritten note. Handwritten note goes so far. Even if it's just a sentence, it can be just really powerful to receive something in the mail.
That's good.
So that's one of my first ones. Another one that I think people don't value enough is like a $5 gift card to a mutual like coffee or a tea or a place where it invites conversation.
Yep.
Hey, I'm sending you this quick gift card. Let's spend it together, right? Like, let's spend it together. I know you like this coffee.
Yeah.
Let's spend it together. Is another really easy one that's cheap. That really it's less about here's $5. It's let me give you a choice. Let me give you no option, no reason to say no to this because I've already bought it for you.
That's a good one because
Um,
a lot of those cards are digital, so you don't have to physically go to the store and buy it. You could buy it online, right? And then
that's
text
right.
them the link with your message. Yeah,
That's right.
that's a good one.
Those of us who lead teams, this is real simple. Celebrate the people on your team and just do it publicly. I think that there's something really powerful for leaders to celebrate the person and not about their work, but about what they're contributing to the team that is associated to the mission and who you serve, right? And so I think that's another just really easy one to do. And of course, like you mentioned, these voice notes, I think it can be just a really powerful way of hearing it from your own voice.
And let me just say one more. No matter which one of these things you're doing, writing a note, sending a voice note, sending a gift card with a intention of getting together, turn stalking into something really good. Let me explain my thought process here.
Okay, you got to
Uh,
explain.
yeah. So, you know, somebody else, have you been, you'll know something. If I knew something about Trey that he hadn't told me, he might say, "Are you stalking me on social media?" And, but if you're going to send a voice note or write somebody a note, why not go to their social media and see what's been going on in their life? Maybe there's a picture of their child hitting a home run, or maybe maybe they just got a new dog, or maybe their dog just died and they're just sad. And and don't act like you just miraculously knew it. Say, hey, I was floating through social media and I saw your dog died, and I just wanted to let you
Mm,
know I was thinking about you, and I know what it feels like to lose a dog. You know, the dogs are like part of the family or something. So I think you can express that you care even more if you take, what would that take? 90 seconds to look them up on social media and just see something like that. To me, I'll do that before I call somebody sometimes when I'm catching up, just so I feel like I'm aware of what's going on in their life.
that's good. That's really good.
Um, all right, I guess we need to land this plane because we try to be concise with these podcasts. We would love to have you in 2025 and be a part of our community where we can share making the life we want all desire versus it's scary to think about if you don't take control of it, what the world would do if you just let life happen. And that's what Trey and I are trying to do on this podcast. We really would love for you to join us with this mission. I mean, I am not monetizing this podcast, but if you want to be alerted when we have a new episode, go ahead and subscribe. I mean, if you're like me, I love to subscribe. I like to create my own news feeds and not watch TV. So I've got my own news feeds on YouTube. What pops up is the things I want to see. I've screened out the rest. And on my Spotify podcast, add our Life is What You Make It podcast to your Spotify followings. So all this is on makealife.com/podcast. You don't have to go hunt or search. If you just go there, you'll find it. But as we do life together, and as we have priorities and the busyness is always going to be there, this is a place we can connect. And sometimes you'll be with us live, and sometimes you'll listen while you're riding a bike or when you're busy, and that's okay. but it lets us share principles and ideas together. So appreciate you for being a part of our virtual family and being together with us. And I hope I get to see more of you in the next and upcoming year. And I'll see many of you over the holidays and we'll get chances to catch up. But I hope more of us will see each other in the next year, just that travel and the paths of life will make our paths cross more than they have this past year. So, Trey, you got a closing word?
No, brother,
All right.
I'm blessed.
All right. Thank you guys for joining us. And we will see you later. Happy Thanksgiving. And if I don't talk to you before Christmas, Merry Christmas. And 2026 is going to be awesome. But we'll have a couple more episodes next month that you can join us on. Okay. See ya.